Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to a new edition of Urban Sentinel Live. I'm your host, Reggie Kearney, and I'm also the publisher and editor of Urban Sentinel Magazine. And our April-May edition should be out pretty soon, the next couple of weeks. We're going to we're going to feature authors for this month, for this next edition coming up. Well. So here we go again. A lot's been happening in the news. I'm sorry I've missed you all the last 2 weeks, but I'm a proud grandfather of twin boys. So a week before last, we were my daughter was up and down, and then last Tuesday, she had the little boys. They're a week old now. Be a week and a day tomorrow. So thank God for that blessing. And they're doing fine, they're doing fine. So looking forward to, hopefully they make granddad feel a little younger, along with the rest of my grandkids. So that takes me to 6 grandchildren. So I thank God for that blessing and everything. So as we dive into everything that's going on tonight, we just got a mess, and we got tonight. He'll be on soon. Richard Cuff from down in Jacksonville, Florida. We're gonna talk about what is going on here in the United States of America, or United States of Mexico. I don't know. They changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. I'm pretty sure the Mexicans are gonna come back and change the United States to the United States of Mexico. If you know your history, you know that Texas and a lot of the southern border, was part of Mexico. So, hey, we don't know what's going to happen. What's up, Richard?
Hey, man, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Doing fine. How you doing down there in Jacksonville, Florida?
Man, all is well. All is well. Just finally getting out of this winter mode here.
Right.
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me.
Yeah, you upside down.
There we go. Yeah, we're just about, dealing with what is being.
We lost him for a minute. We'll get him back up here. But like I was saying, it's a lot going on, especially, with our government now. People getting laid off, people losing their jobs and stuff. And
I'm back.
You might not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up in the Maryland area, Maryland, D.C. area. So we kind of, I notice when I'm not in the D.C. area, I notice that the news elsewhere doesn't cover everything. It seems like if you live in D.C. area, they cover everything. So it's been kind of a mess up here, Richard. Today, Department of Education sent everybody home, said they want to do some security work on the building. And we knew what was up, So something's coming down tomorrow where they're going to lay off 2,100 people. And that's half of what they have at the Department of Education, because that's one of the smallest departments that the government has. They have on average of 4,000 people. Me and Mark were just talking how stuff that's going on, these guys are rich, okay? And hey, God bless them. If they went ahead and earned this money, hey, hopefully they earned it legally, hey, God bless them. But think about it, they got to realize these people that hit these highways every morning in the streets to get to work, these guys are there for a reason, because they need their paycheck. And unemployment ain't gonna, at most, unemployment might knock you in about $250 to $300, a week, at the most. So you're talking about $600 a week, every 2 weeks at the most. They got food, it's crazy. They don't understand how they're tearing up people's homes. So what's your thoughts on that, Richard?
The reality for me, hold on 1 second. Let me see. Okay. Make certain I get my sound in. I believe that there's a bigger picture. We're being distracted by what's being done immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Trump does an executive order. He does something and the media reacts. That's been part of the strategy. There's a video with Steve Bannon, who was Trump's original handler before Trump even knew the power that he had.
Mm-hmm.
There were people who just knew that they could get him in office, and once they got him in office, then they could use him. And Steve Bannon's strategy was, flood the airwaves with stuff. Just every day come out with new stuff, that it's so much stuff that the media doesn't have time to cover. You just said it perfectly, that you guys are caught up with what's happening in the DC area. You're not getting the news around the country. There's no world news anymore. It's hard to cover the news of the world when there's so much stuff just happening right in your own front yard. Like every other day there's a car crash right in front of your house, and you want to know what's going on in your house, and then it would say breaking news from halfway across the country. Who cares about halfway across the country? I'm only focused on what's happening to me. And that's how they get you. They got everybody focused on what's happening right in front of them. They can't see what's happening behind the curtain. And that's the magic. That's literally what a magician does. It takes your eyes off of what is the real focus. And what's the real focus goes back to the Southern strategy, literally from, I'd say, about 1965. If you go forward 1965 to 2025, you're covering a good 60 years. That strategy was put into place because the alarm bells went off when the Supreme Court said, desegregation is no longer legal. When Brown v. Board of Education passed in 1955, they said, we got to do something. It took them 10 years to come up with a strategy. And what's his name? Lee Atwaters, who was Nixon's advisor, said, look, we can't say nigga, nigga, nigga anymore. So we got to use different words. And Ronald Reagan understood what that meant. Ronald Reagan knew that once I'm president, if I can bring that Southern strategy into politics, it can benefit me. Now, when Reagan did it, Reagan didn't care. I don't think I would say Reagan wasn't racist in the true sense of what racism is about. Reagan was a racist in much the same way Vanilla Ice is a rapper, Ice Baby. He knew how to rap. He knew how to get a beat. He knew how to do the things. And if you can turn your hat backwards and, say all the words, that makes you a rapper. That's the kind of racist that Ronald Reagan wasn't committed to racism enough that he would go to a lynching, or that he would tie a black man to his bumper and drag him down the road. That's not the kind of racist that Ronald Reagan was. Ronald Reagan was a convenient racist. It was convenient for him to say stuff. It was convenient for him to play along because it benefited him to get what he wanted. And what he wanted was he didn't have enough money to make any money by lowering taxes, but by lowering taxes for the people that Ronald Reagan wanted to curry favor with, that benefited him. And that's what all these politicians are doing. The politicians want the benefit that comes from bellying up to the ones with the money. Okay, the people with the money are not racist, but the voters are. And you get a whole swath of angry voters by going for the racist vote. So fast forward 60 years, and you got Donald Trump running for office, and they told Trump, the advisors told Trump, stop appealing to the lowest of the low. They're not going to vote. They're not, that's not who we should be going for. We should be going, the traditional conservative value kind of people. But Trump went deep into the racist stuff, and it paid off.
Yeah, because I guess he felt like he had to, because if he didn't, he would have lost. But what he did, he emboldened those people to act like fools. Okay, now they say anything, do anything they want to do, and there's no repercussion for them doing it. Because look at the pardons of the January 6th people. Those guys still be in jail serving time. The violent people. He released those people. People who beat up on police officers. He released those people and called them great patriots and all that kind of stuff. And that's crazy. Then he pardoned here in the DC area. It was 2 police officers that violated department policy and caused a young man to have an accident on a moped, got hit by a car.
Yeah.
He pardoned those 2 officers, okay? And then, the guy didn't even serve all his sentence and everything. Now you got somebody out there with Elon, because Elon just as racist as he wants to be, coming from South Africa and growing up much of his life in apartheid South Africa. He wants him to pardon Derek Chauvin.
Yeah.
Chauvin, I mean, so it's that kind of crazy stuff. It's like with them pushing immigrants out the country, mainly, Latino, Hispanic immigrants out the country. They trying to really push down on color, and they're going to push down on Black America and just make us second-class citizens. That's what they're trying to do. But we got to wake up, man.
Well, number one is you can't make Black Americans second-class citizens when Black Americans are destined to be the first-class citizens. The issue is, will we know that we're first class? I think it was either 2000 or 2010 census that came out. Maybe it was the 2000 census. Yeah, 2000 census. And so they started talking about the data around 2002. So when the 2010 census came out, it showed that for the first time, there were more African American males turning 14 years old than there were white Americans turning 14. Even though African Americans are only 15% of the population, and white Americans are the majority, you probably about 60%. Why would that be a threatening number? The reason why that would be a threatening number is 14-year-olds are the future baby makers 10 years later. The 24, they will be baby makers. So when you got more baby makers on the Black side of the aisle than there are white baby makers, that tells you right there what population is going to be growing. I told someone, I said, have you ever noticed that like the Black people that are being killed are like almost like always the firstborn or the only born, like from Trayvon Martin to Michael Brown to, it's like, look at all of these Black males. I'm not just Black males being killed, but it's like Black males, firstborn or only child in that line, that when that child is killed, there are no more. There's no more coming after that. And it's like, are they that deliberate, or is it that much of an attack? I don't know if that's the case, but what I do know is it created a shockwave for those who are of the belief that You insert, they were marching with the torches and they were saying Jews will not replace us. Jews will not. You remember that march?
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing about being replaced is their biggest fear.
Yeah, but that's okay. Theoretically, that's still about 10 years down the road. But what they're doing now, they are creating situations that push us in their attempts to push us to the back of the bus. You look at, okay, they got DEI all screwed up because they lost the meaning of it. And DEI was another way for them to use the N word and try to justify what they had to do. But now if you're on a black campus, okay, it's natural for you to want to celebrate Black History Month. It's natural for you to want to have certain organizations on campus that are black. Even if you're black with a group of black students on the major white campuses, you had your Black Student Union, you had the black newspaper, you had so much stuff to try to
Black week organizations too.
Yeah,
they were on white campuses
to maintain your identity. So what's happened now? He's saying, okay, if you're federally funded, you can't have anything that identifies you as being a black organization. I mean, that is freaking crazy, because trying to suppress us for the time being, trying to kill our history.
Hey, Richard, and definitely you as well, Reggie. There's a major institution. I don't know if y'all can guess the institution I'm talking about, but I just read an interesting article, and I definitely want to hear Richard's thoughts about this because there is a black middle class that has been very rich. It's part of what created the Black Wall Street that y'all were talking about earlier, and definitely there were business folks, whether that was banking or whether that was the funeral homes or a number of others like the barbershops that helped create those things and everything. But there was a major institution. I think it's featured in Raisin in the Sun, if I remember the storyline correctly and everything along those lines. But it is a federal agency and everything that historically has hired a lot of folks of color. As a matter of fact, it employs 640,000 people, and 29% of its staff is African American and everything, while they only make up, in African Americans, 12% of the national workforce. And it is one of the agencies that is being targeted by the Trump administration. And it is one that we all check on, I'd say, a daily basis. Maybe not on Sunday, but we check on it every other day and everything. So can you guess what that agency is that is being targeted by the Trump administration? He's even talking about possibly making it go private and everything when it is.
Oh, you talking about the United States Post Office?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What, again, I get that and it's important to focus on what is happening now. But like I said, all of these things that Trump is doing can be corrected with the next president. That's why we have that's our democracy was created to be erased and started all over again. What we're not addressing is the embedded racism that is allowed to operate, because all it takes is a few racist people to get a couple racist people with some money, and you can go and influence 100 different congressmen, especially if you get plugged into the Republican Party. So they've infiltrated the Republican Party, and the Republican Party is it's like the back door is open that allows anybody to come in. So if I did a video on this when someone said that they're taking it said taking money away from retired people to pay off student loan debt is the most un-American thing imaginable, right? And I had to break it down that what was un-American was the way Social Security was set up in the first place, from 1935 to when Social Security was started to 1983. Nearly 50 years, Social Security was untaxed. Do you know why Social Security was untaxed? Because it only went to white people. Mm-hmm. When FDR signed the New Deal, he said domestic workers and agricultural workers could not get Social Security. Why was that? Because they had to figure out a way to say, we are not giving it to Black people without saying we're not going to give it to Black people. And they knew that the majority of workers in this country were the service workers, the jobs that nobody wanted was Black people. That was until 1968, 69, and affirmative action. It was John F. Kennedy who used the words affirmative action first. He says we have to take affirmative action to make up for the things that are wrong. And therefore, Black people started getting these jobs in the post office. They started getting jobs at the Social Security office. They started getting jobs. And next thing you know, by 1983, a Black middle class is showing up.
Right.
And guess what happens in 1983? Reagan decides to tax Social Security for the first time, because Black folks started getting Social Security. And you can trace that all the way back to here. And so why are these jobs that are being eliminated, the federal working jobs? Because here's their attitude. It's called, if you were to Google the words drained pool politics, what it means is their attitude is, since we've got to let you swim in our swimming pools, we'll drain the swimming pools first. And that's why suburban homes started having swimming pools built in the backyard, because the public swimming pools now allow Black folk. And so they would rather drain the swimming pool than have to deal with Black folks swimming in it, especially more Black people. That's what when they say drain the swamp, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah,
it ain't about government waste. It's about draining. Because here's, guys, and I'm telling you this is the way white people are thinking. When Trump says the pain is only going to be temporary, what he's telling white folk is, hang in there long enough for us to kill all of these roaches. Hold your breath, because they are going to die. And when they die and we go, it's gonna be pain for us temporary, but it's gonna be permanent for them. That's the racist dog whistle that's being sent. So when you say that'll happen 10 years from now, that's 10 years from now. What's going on right now, we need to focus on. No, we need to focus on what's going on now and 10 years from now. Because 10 years from now, African-American spending power will be cut in half.
Yeah.
10 years from now, investments where we were destined to be, not only right now, we got 1.6 trillion in spending power. It's supposed to double in 10 years to 3.2 trillion and then ultimately 6.4 trillion in 20 years. But based on the current projections that we're headed, it says by 2053, we won't have anything.
Wow.
Because now they're removing the things that were building solid middle class wealth, and that's government jobs and government infusion. And if the government is not infusing wealth into the Black community, and we don't have a banking system, we don't have investments, and we don't own assets, then how the hell are we going to increase our wealth? Tell me where our wealth is going to increase from.
We got to create our own. Now, I was part of I'm part of an organization, and 2 Saturdays ago we had Reimagining Wall Street. Okay. And we were surprised at the number of people that showed up for that to discuss. And we had some of the key players here in the DC area, part of the panel to talk about what we can do. And one of the things, the biggest takeaway we took was that we've got to start supporting our own, okay? Our own small businesses, the Black banks. We've got to start. I know it's not a Black bank on every corner, because they can't afford to do that. But we got to start putting our money into the Black banks, and that's what we got to do. We got to start building our own, because at the end of the day, it's going to be us against them. Okay.
Not just, Reggie, not just the Black banks. There are, because I know a friend of mine here in Durham, he owns one of them. There are Black delivery services that are like the equivalent of local post offices, and they do deliveries and stuff. I'm sure that there are some of those up there in the DC, Maryland area. I know there's some down there in Florida. So we've got to support them as well, because part of the reason that they said that they hired more Black postal workers was because they were former veterans and that they were seen as being trustworthy. I know a lot of folks that probably, if they think about their post office, if I think about the one here in Durham, most of the delivery people are brothers and sisters, because there's some sisters that deliver as well. And definitely, even if you go to the local postal station, I don't know how it is in Florida where you are, Richard, or how it is where you are in Baltimore, but I know here in Durham, I'd say the majority of the people behind the counter are Black and everything like that. So it seems like that has been something that, like you said earlier, Richard, helped build our Black middle class, but we've got to find ways to support them. And if they go and set up their own delivery service, then we can support them. Because I know a lot of folks would not trust anybody but a brother or a sister to bring them their mail, particularly if they are veterans and everything like that, because they know that they are trustworthy.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's number one is we got so many things that we need to do. We haven't been building an infrastructure. We missed our opportunity was 8 years of Barack Obama. And I remember Cornel West and Tavis Smiley going on practically a tour. They went on a tour pretty much bashing Obama for his entire 2 terms. And you definitely haven't heard from neither Cornel West nor Tavis Smiley. I don't even know where Cornel West is right now with all this crap that Donald Trump is doing.
You ain't heard nothing from him.
Cornel West had so much to say intellectually about Barack Obama. Practically every week he was on TV saying something, and now he's silent on Trump. And here's the key. I'm just saying this. I believe Barack Obama was smart enough to do things while he was in office to make certain that certain things could not be done to us, or at least be undone. One of those, the Affordable Care Act. And if Black folk were to understand how much the Affordable Care Act means for us to not have to spend money that without it we would be spending. That's the first thing. So when you're not spending money, you can save money. That's the first thing. If you can save money, then you can invest money. That's the next step. Well, that's what President Obama did with the Jobs Act. Reggie, you were earlier talking about Black Wall Street and us coming together. Well, you still need a mechanism to do that. Right now, we're putting together an investment group under the Jobs Act. President Obama passed the Jobs Act in 2012. Most Black people don't know what it means. But the Jobs Act is what creates Black Wall Street. It allows us to form what's called an SPV, or a special purpose vehicle. And that means we can start a company, you and I, and then we can bring up to 250 members into that company for one specific purpose, a special purpose, and that's to pool our money to invest in something. So I'll give you an example. You got 250 people who put in $2,000, that's $500,000 right there. Each one of those you take that $500,000 and go and put it down on a 20% down on a $2.5 million loan, and you can buy a laundromat, strip mall, restaurant. Those same 250 people now shop there and do their clothes there. It's a self-sustaining investment. We don't have to get every Black person together. What we've got to start doing is bringing small groups of us together. So, but if you can't get together with your brother and your sister, then there is no reason to be even thinking that you can get together with an entire group of African Americans. So my word is this: let's see how small of a group can you get together. Can you and your homeboy get together and do a venture together? Once we start doing that, it doesn't matter. You don't have to wait for everybody. Just start doing some collective stuff. One lawn care service gets together with a pressure washing company and start a collaborative effort, just the two of you. When we start doing that, that's when we're going to start seeing things come together. We got to normalize that first. We want every Black person to come together in the United States before we accomplish anything. Why do we have to demand unity first? There is no other culture that demands unity. Religions do, yes, but just from pure culture, no.
But
No.
Richard, when you look at, okay, you say unity. Yeah, no culture demands it, but they work in unity. You look at the Asians, how they work together, okay? Do you ever see the Asians eating outside their community? No.
No, but listen, why do the Asians work together? The reason why the Asians work together is you get a H2, there's a particular visa that you get. Trump is talking about selling it for $5 million. You can already get a visa if you're coming over here to do business, right?
I'm talking about the people, I'm talking about the Asians that are here now, okay? That have been here for the last 50 or 60 years. These guys work within their community. They own all the daggone beauty shop.
No, but this is the point that I'm making to you.
So that's unity to me.
No, but no, it's not unity. What it is, it's legislation that allows that to happen. When they come over here and they buy a restaurant. And they don't buy the restaurant. I met with the family. I mean, they're in DC and what y'all little Chinatown thing. And I met with the guys. One group of Asians build all the restaurants. Another group of Asians manufacture all the food. They all get the soy sauce packets, all look the same.
That's unity.
No,
they're working together. Now, look, we can't even get together to put together a banana pudding and sell it. Okay.
No, listen again. Let me finish what I'm telling you. Number one is this, and I've had this conversation all day. We can get together. We can. That's a lie that we can't. That's a lie. It is a lie that we can't get together. We do get together. If we couldn't come together, we would be warring with each other. Black folk are not killing each other and warring with each other. We're not at that level. But what we don't have is legislation that says once you come into the community, you can bring all your family members over to work in your restaurant. And you can get special loans because you're coming over here to do that. Now, yes, here is what seems like unity. What seems like unity is that those who are already over here with the money use their money to put that person in business. So the way that they set up their money is they'll build the Chinese restaurant and then they'll bring this Asian over here who comes with some money and he'll come over and he'll take over the restaurant. And they say, we'll give you the money and you pay us back. Once you pay us back, you own 49%. Now, the way they have unity, I guarantee you this is the case. If President Xi over there in China said, every one of you bastards needs to come home right now, they will all drop everything that they're doing and they'll come back. Not because it's unity, because that man will kill their families over there. So they all have incentive to do it. We don't have incentives to do it. Our only incentive to do anything is a bullet in the back of our head from a police officer. We don't have economic incentives. We don't have a federal government law that says if you do X, Y, Z, you'll get this. You get that with these Asians. You get that, and it only applies to certain people. They don't let Haitians do it. But that's how they get us. So what I'm saying to you is this, is if we are not getting legislation written to our benefit, then we don't need to be talking about anything. How can we get anything when 60-70% of Black folk don't vote? How can we get unity when you can't get together with your neighbor, your buddy, your brother? And form just 3 people coming together with businesses.
And that's what I'm saying, because even in the Ethiopian community here in the DC area, I used to work for 7-Eleven in franchising. And I was always wondering why our biggest applicants were Ethiopians, okay? And so I asked a young guy one day, because he was like probably about 25, 26, and worked for IBM as an engineer, and we approved him for a franchise, okay? Now, he said that what they have an ongoing pool of money, okay? Mm-hmm. That they help each other invest in businesses. But the main purpose of this group of people is to invest in 7-Eleven. So what they do, they put up all the money that's needed to open up with the franchise fee and everything else to open up a 7-Eleven, and that person pays them back monthly. And then when that pool of money is built back up again, they interview another person and put that person in line. These are the things we've got to start doing in our community if we can come together and do them without trying to cut each other's throat.
No, well, again, I don't, and I'll continue to correct you. Is that is being done. We're not cutting each other's throat. It's just that people are not taking the incentive to do it. I'm doing it right now. I've got a meeting this weekend. I'm meeting with the owner of a barbershop. This barber has he and I could put 30,000 into an investment ourselves. But what we're looking to do is bring together 30 people, and those 30 people can put $2,000 in. Now, between those 30 people, we've got $60,000 between 30 people. We got one business here, a coffee shop, that we're taking that $60,000 and giving it as a loan to that coffee shop. And the coffee shop pays the loan back interest only. Well, the interest only goes back to the investors. And that's how the investors are getting their money back. And it's a convertible note. So what we'll do is after a year or so, maybe 6 months in, we refinance it, pay the original investors back, and then they turn that money right back into another investment. This is a new thing.
I hate to play devil's advocate, and this is for both you and Reggie, but how do you deal with the crabs in the barrel mentality? Because that's what I think Reggie was alluding to, because we have a lot of people that even when they get power, I'll go to the movie industry. There is no doubt that Tyler Perry is one of the premier folks in the movie industry in Atlanta and everything, but there are a lot of people that would like to see him do more, and they would like to see LeBron James and even Michael Jordan do more as well. And then you've got folks that have that crab in the barrel mentality where they are trying to find ways to tear down versus help others build and everything. And
okay, so here's what we got to do.
Those people that I named is doing.
Yeah, the way we do that is we stop thinking, as they say, not all skin folk are kinfolk.
Right.
What we've got to stop doing is thinking Tyler Perry and LeBron James and Oprah Winfrey are the same as Ray Ray and Pookie. They're not. The moment your money goes to another level, if you ain't got no business talking about what a person that's worth $700 million need to be doing, and you're making 100,000. What you need to be doing is talking about the people around you who are making 100,000 and saying, what can we do with our 100,000? So if we're talking about what the Asian community doesn't do, show me an Asian who's complaining about the billionaire Asian that's not doing anything. You see that? They ain't complaining about what billionaire Asian ain't doing enough for them. What they're trying to do is go from being illegal immigrant or being a non-English speaking person to being an American citizen. That's all they care about. How do I pass that citizenship test? Let me move up to the next level. And so when we can start thinking about how do we move up to the next level, let's then create ways for that to happen. That's what we're not doing. We're not creating ways for social mobility. And that's because we think of ourselves as one. Every black man is the same. Every black person has to be the same. No, we don't. We can be Republican, we can be Democrat, we can be gay, straight, broke, all of that. And the moment we break free of the belief that because we are black, we got to be a certain way, then we can get to work. And we can get to work by saying, okay, Oprah, LeBron, you all are at a different level. I guarantee you, It'll happen. Trust me. The moment those who are making $30,000 a year come together and the ones who are making $100,000 a year come together, it doesn't take all of them. It just takes, like I'm doing here. I know there's almost 1.5 million people in the more than 1.5 million people in the 5-county area here in North Florida. All I'm looking to do is get 30 people. I'm looking to get 30 people out of 1 million. Don't you know I'd be crazy? I'd go crazy thinking I gotta bring all 1 million people together before I can do anything. I just want to do it with 30 people. And listen, you said, what do I do with the crabs in a barrel mentality? The moment I get the slightest whiff that you got that crabs in a barrel mentality, I'm cutting you off and I'm moving to the next one. Because I'm going to get 30 people who want to get a return on their $2,000, that by the time we give you your money back, you will have made 15, 20% on it for that year, and you'll get your entire investment back so that you can roll it over again. My goal is to get people their investments back so that you get somebody that's got a decent job. Then maybe every other month, you're putting $2,000 to work. And then after a while, every week you're putting $2,000 to work. And before you know it, your investment is growing. That's how it happens. So I think
Richard, just really quickly, the other thing that I hear people complain about, and I definitely want to hear Reggie's thoughts about this as well, is that if you look at a successful businessman, I don't care whether it's Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or even whether you like him or don't like him, Trump and a number of others, even those in our community, there is a key word, which is this notion of having a diversity in your businesses that you're doing. None of them are making it on just one business alone.
Right, exactly.
I hear from people all the time is that they can't multitask and they can't have multiple businesses and everything like that. And that's what a lot of people that even get caught up in the MLMs say, is that they don't have time to do, say, an Amway if they've also got a regular job. But most of the people that I know that are successful have at least 4 or 5 jobs, and oftentimes 4 or 5 products that they are selling. This notion of diversity and everything like that. And I don't know that true business people understand that.
Well, that's true, because I have a friend who's into multi-level marketing, mm-hmm. and he has like 3 multi-level marketing companies that he leverages. Okay, yeah. And he's leveraging them bad boys pretty good. Okay, I mean, he's leveraging them pretty good. But to go back to our other conversation real quick, the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area has probably the largest amount of Black businesses in the country, okay? Mm-hmm. Very successful Black businesses. I think one of the things that needs to happen, that these businesses need to come together and start a business consortium that they can work together, throw ideas together, help each other out, and help grow the Black business community and create jobs that way. Because I realize and know that every person that comes to, we're not going to get everybody to the table because everybody's not going to have the money to come to the table. But I think if all the Black businesses, or at least,
but Reggie, there are organizations that exist like that. I just don't know that they are doing enough. I know here in Durham we've got the Black Chamber of Commerce.
We have that. We have a Black
business and Black chain, and I know that y'all have those up in DC as well.
We have like 3 or 4 Black chambers of commerce in this area. But what I'm saying, you still need that one central group to come together to make the whole community stronger. And I think that's one of the missing links. We're not making the whole community stronger, okay? Because we don't have those multi-billion-dollar businesses. We have a few good guys out there who have those type of businesses, but we don't have the multi-billion-dollar businesses. But we can come together and create more power. More power.
Now, let me say this. Going back, Mark, to what you were asking about. There are 2 words that you hear that you touched on. One is a diversified portfolio, right?
That's what I was looking for.
And a diversified portfolio is the way an investor thinks, right? So if you're making your money primarily from investments, you want to have a diversified portfolio. And the reason for that is It's like having a dozen eggs, right? And when they say not all your eggs in one basket, you want to have enough eggs in the basket that if some of them break, others are hatching. Chickens, I might have some eggs that are non-productive, but there are some eggs that are really producing well. So that's a diversified portfolio. I have some stocks that are growing fast, some that are growing slow. The ones that are growing fast are very risky, so they go up fast and they come down fast. But the ones that are growing slow allow me to absorb the loss. And so, like right now, the way investors are thinking at this very moment, have you guys seen what the stock market is doing with Trump's crazy behind, right? His attitude is, let's plunge this thing into a recession. All poor black folk are going to die because that's what their mindset is. They think black folk don't have enough money. There's going to be a ton of poor white folk that's going to be feeling the pain. But my point is, when stocks begin to dip, you start seeing them move into bonds and futures, and if one side is dropping, another side is picking up. There are literally people that are making money by shorting the stock market, which means every time the stocks go down $1,000, they may make $200, just to give you an example, because they are literally betting and getting paid as the money goes down. That's a diversified portfolio. Right. On the other side, for the laborer, the person that's working, even the barbershop owner or whatever it is, the multi-level marketing person, I wouldn't call that person an investor. I'd call that person more a laborer, business owner, small business owner. That person wants to focus on revenue streams. Now, Reggie, what you were talking about earlier when you said this guy has 3 different multi-level marketing companies, that's only one revenue stream from 3 different sources. You see, the revenue stream is MLM, multi-level, right? So you can your first revenue stream should be earned income, money that you make doing work or labor. So then your second income is business income. That's the money that you make from your business. The third revenue stream is going to be interest that you make off of your money. And then that fourth revenue stream is going to be dividends that you're making off of your investments.
Well,
when you get those 4 revenue streams, then you can go into real estate.
Yeah, he has 2. He has a permanent full-time job, but he works
right, exactly. So out of that, he's got 2 revenue streams. And that, in fact, the revenue stream that he's getting from multi-level marketing would fall under the category of residual income, money that comes in from extra work that you do. But what we got to do, Reggie, is literally use platforms like yours to begin to get people to start talking about the things that's going to shift the mindset from a consumer laborer mindset to an owner investor. If we don't, now I'm not going to say we collectively, but I'm just saying if an individual fails to shift his mindset from thinking like a consumer laborer and moving over to being an owner investor, the problem is if he's always thinking consumer laborer, even when he starts a business, owns a business, the weight of being a consumer laborer still pulls him over and he never crosses over to becoming an investor. So the key is to make a clean break. Get out of the mindset of being a consumer laborer and act as if that part doesn't exist anymore. I'm no longer consuming. I'm no longer laboring just so that I can consume. I now own my business, and I own my business so that I can invest more to grow my business. You see, I'm working as hard as I'm working so that I can have more to invest. And as I have more to invest, I can grow my investments and I can own more. What do I want to own? I want to own assets. I don't want to own a business. It doesn't hurt to own a business. But most people who are wealthy are not wealthy because they own businesses. Yes, they have a business, but what's making them wealthy is wealth-producing assets, real estate, stocks and bonds, intellectual property, a song that gets played on the radio and it gives you a check that comes in the mailbox every day. If you don't have those kinds of things that generate wealth, it's going to be hard to get it. So wealth producing assets, and then you want to invest or give your money to things that produce wealth, or at least produce a way to pay you back. So that's why I was saying earlier, you get a group of 50 people together, and those 50 people put in $2,000 each. What is that, $100,000? That is between those 50 people. You take that $100,000 and you give it to a loan, as a loan to a small business at just 15%. You're getting a 15% return on a $100,000 investment every year. That's a good investment. The challenge is, can you leave it in there and let it continue to grow? So yes, what we're not going to be able to do, we're not going to be able to make up for what we didn't do over the last 60 years.
Right.
We can't. But if we start right now today and say, and I say this often, you'll hear me say this at least, if you talk to me long enough, you're gonna hear me say it 100 times. But if you begin now, you can always wait before you start. But if you wait before you start, you'll never begin.
Yeah, like I said, that conference we had a couple of weeks ago, Reimagine Black Wall Street, I was surprised at the number of young people that came, the 20-something, 30-something. And cause like they said, I think one thing that I'm seeing in their mindset is they want to be business owners or be into something that benefits them and their family, and not have to create wealth for another person, okay, for someone in the white community. So they do have a good mindset. The thing is just trying to get everybody maybe not on the same page, but to get them to come along for the ride, and contribute in any way they can. And I think that's where we are right now. And I'm thinking too, with everything that's going on in this country now, especially with the federal government, I think more Blacks are seeing the need to look elsewhere to create wealth and create income for their families.
Exactly. Now, hold on, I'm gonna have to break away for.
So one of the things we've been talking about tonight to the listeners and the viewers, we're looking at ways in the Black community how we can step it up and become business owners or participate in partnerships with each other to create our own wealth in our community. Because with the guy that's in the White House now, we're not going to have that type of those type of opportunities taking place where with government contracts for the federal government contracts, you might as well just wipe them off the book. Okay, I got some friends who built multi-million-dollar companies off of federal contracts, but I think those days are gone.
Now let me tell you, again, like I told you, Trump's play is that he's going to pull some crap to try and stay on president for a third term, right? Also, not spending money. The federal government has got to spend money. You cannot run this government without spending money. It's like using the toilet and never flushing it, right? In 3 years' time, there's going to be such financial constipation that they're going to have to do a 9/11 times 3 just to get this economy going again. That federal contracts are going to be flying out the window by the time Trump's out of office, because that's going to be the only way to get the economy going again, which is going to add to the deficit and all that other stuff. But let me go. I'll tell you the last time we did this. Remember Reagan? Reagan cut taxes like crazy. Bush 1 came in and what did he run on? Bush said, "Read my lips, no new taxes." Remember that?
Yep.
And by the middle of his first term, which was 12 years after Reagan cut all those taxes, he was like, "Well, oh, damn, Looks like
He
we're
had to
gonna have
raise
to
them
raise
taxes.
taxes.
He had to raise them taxes. Hey, Richard, I know we're winding down and everything, but just real quickly, and this is both you and Reggie. Do you think that we're going to see an increase? Because a friend of my mom's, he passed away not that long ago, and everything made a lot of money off of the construction business, and you kind of alluded to it. Do you think we're going to see an increase in government contracts, and particularly government contracts in our minority community? Because I know that right now they're trying to cut them, but I'm thinking they're like you, that they might have to return them, because I know that even Ron Roadfox, who was a friend of my mom's and had a major company in Atlanta and everything, his and North Carolina as well, and I think California and a number of other places, but his daughter is running that company, and I think they're doing well in construction contracts and bridges and roads and things like that. So the infrastructure is important. So are we going to have more minority contractors that will have those big $1 million contracts in your mind?
No, absolutely. In fact, I'd say this. We got to remove the word minority from us. We got to stop referring to ourselves as just stop. Forget what the numbers say, right? Because it's considering ourselves minority says, give us what's left. In the next 3 years, a really solid African-American business is going to be able to compete with any other business. Not even going to be a matter of whether it's black owned or not. There's going to be so much of an opportunity out there because this BS that the United States can produce anything, that you're going to bring jobs back here. You want to bring jobs back here, and who's going to do the work? No, there's not enough of an educated workforce to do the kind of jobs that they've been shipping overseas for the last 40 years because they didn't want those jobs to pop up in the black inner cities. That's the only reason why India has the tech jobs and Mexico has the manufacturing jobs and China has all of those jobs because when they should have been building these plants in the inner cities in the 70s and the 80s, they were shipping them overseas rather than building them around us. And now they're experiencing the problem from doing that. And the same way they're experiencing the problem from doing that, they're going to experience a problem from this. The only difference is it's not going to take 40 years to show up. I'd say, look at your watch. I'd give it 18 months and watch what happens in 18 months. If you don't have a construction business, get a business that rents those big cranes. I saw that. I got to figure out how we can rent those cranes because that's what's going to be the kind of businesses that you want to get into as a black-owned business. But not minority owned, bro. Just a business that provides a service that's needed because white folk are getting older. They are dying. They're not going to be here to get those contracts. And they're young people ain't trying to do that hard work. That
hey, Richard, I had a friend of mine. He actually does cleaning, and that would be one of those hard jobs as a brother and everything. He's got a 10-year-old, so he's probably in his, I'd guess, 30s, maybe 30s or early 40s at the latest and everything. But he's got a business. He actually told me that he's going to open up one of those photo booths and everything. Yeah. So he's going to go to events and provide those photo booths. But he was saying what we've been saying before, which is that he gets frustrated because when he gets brothers to have work with him, a lot of times he gives them the opportunity, but they don't want to drink from the well that he is offering them. So that's what he was telling me yesterday, is that he is frustrated because they want to give them an opportunity and they give him all kinds of excuses for why they can't do the work even in the cleaning business. Because I think he's cleaning like 5 businesses right now, including the cultural center that I work at that Reggie knows. And he was like, I offered them the opportunities, but these guys don't want to actually do the work. So they can be almost as bad as some of our white counterparts.
No, here's what I'm saying though. Even when you talk about the white counterparts are not offering opportunities to do the work. They're offering opportunities to own the business, to be an investor. So what we've got to do is get out of this thought that the only people we can add are laborers. We've got to add owners, investors. And I think that if we start doing that, I want to show you how to own this business that I have. I'm going to teach you to own it. Not come and work for me so I can grow my business, but come and own this business. And then I'm going to work with you to make certain that you're successful. I think if we can do that, man, it's going to change.
Well, you got to get rid of the attitude, first of all, that you're willing to work to learn and not come into a business think you're going to have money in your pocket tomorrow. And I think that's one of the biggest problems too. Everybody, like your friend Mark, who's willing to give people opportunities, but they don't want to grab them. But they're looking at the right now. Where the money at? That's what they're not willing to put the work in. I mean, you go to every party you go to now, you see a photo booth. You see the 360 photo booth turning around. You know, and them guys making money. You know, you look at $20, $25 a picture. Okay, come on now. And add up, you know, you start adding that up and you doing it on Friday and Saturday night. Hey, if you're just doing it on Saturday night, you getting a large party. Those things, hey, look, those things only cost about $3,000.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't cost that much. You make your money back in a month, in less than a month. But they don't understand that. They look at, man, well, if I got to do all this, man, I'm ready to get paid now, man. You know, they're not willing to put a little sweat in, a little sweat equity, man. You know.
No, that sweat equity. Sometimes they get frustrated by that sweat equity because they're afraid that they got to lift that photo booth or get the photo booth situated and put in this display place and everything like that. I mean, it's the same as a DJ. A DJ got to bring his equipment into the place and everything, but sometimes people don't want to do the sweat equity and all along those lines.
I know y'all remember this. Y'all remember back in the day when you used to go to nightclubs and they got the big background in the back, had a Corvette car on or a Camaro or a GTO or something like that.
Yeah.
Dude had a Polaroid camera and y'all were paying we were paying $10 to $15 for a Polaroid picture because we want to remember the night trying to be cool and stuff, okay? And that's all that photo booth is. That's all that is,
but I got you beat. How about the wedding where you get the little snap camera and everything like that? And they had the little camera and all you gotta do is get the little snapshot and all along that side. You can see that in weddings now, and it's nothing but a series of those little Instamatic cameras.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. But people they won't see. Your guys won't see that. All they gotta do is take that photo booth and throw the bottom in the car and everything else in there and go into the thing, stand around for 4 hours, getting people drunk and everything. They start dishing out them $20 just to be on it. I mean, it's something fun, and you can make money at it. And come thinking of that, I might go out and buy me one of them things this weekend, you know.
Hey, speaking of which, I got to tease you just real quick because I know you're winding down, Reggie, but a friend of mine in May, is actually Mother's Day weekend, is doing a salute to a music form that is dear to your area, dear to the D.C. everything. So he's actually going to have Trouble Funk and Belladonna, which I understand is an all-girls go-go band and everything. And he's going to have a band, I think it's called something The Experience, but they're a Frankie Beverly band. So they're coming to Raleigh. They're coming to the Dorton Arena. It'll be Mother's Day weekend that Saturday. So the Saturday before Mother's Day and everything. So he's already put down his deposit. Speaking of people doing that investment, he's already invested in the bands and in the venue. So that'll be taking place on, I think that's May 10th or May 11th. But it's definitely Saturday before Mother's Day.
Yeah, Belladonna, they're a great female band. They bad. They're bad. Well, look, guys, I have really enjoyed chopping it up with you all tonight. I think we came with some good ideas and stuff. You know, hey, we still got to do something down in Jacksonville, Richard, okay?
Yeah, I was just up in DC last week. And yeah, it was a quick trip up and back. But yeah, definitely. We got to talk about, I would love to expand our business alliance up there. We're doing a big project here in Jacksonville that we're announcing in the next couple weeks. And the goal is to make Jacksonville a hub for global entrepreneurship, because the city is like perfectly positioned. Not only, you know, the expressways north and south, east and west, we have the connection to the ports and a whole bunch of other things here. Plus, the cost of living is not as high as it is in other areas. So this is the perfect area to launch a program that can be duplicated in cities like DC, Atlanta, you know, especially the DMV. The whole area up there is prime for this. And again, I'm the kind of guy that I've never waited for everybody to do anything. And a lot of times I've been the only one out there crazy enough to do it. You know, I call it Crazy George. When we were in high school and you had the high school dance, you talked about, remember the high school dances in the gym, right? The music is playing and ain't nobody dancing. And there was Crazy George. Crazy George would get out there on the floor and dance by himself. He don't need nobody. And before long, everybody is dancing, but Crazy George was the one out there by himself for a minute. Well, I'm Crazy George. I don't need anybody dancing with me. I know that what I'm doing in the world of entrepreneurship is about to shift this thing around. I've been saying it for 40 years. I'm done telling people to get ready. The shift is about to happen. And 20 years from now, people will be looking back and going, damn, I wish I had gotten back on board back then. Well, this is the back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm building up these networks in city after city. I'd love for you guys to be the foundation of an investment group that we have planted there in DC. You know, save your pennies. That's all I'm telling people. Look, be ready with anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 that you can put in at any given moment, and it'll double at some point in time. But it don't take long before we get that right investment that does become that next multi-billion-dollar company.
That's right.
Yeah. Don't feel bad. I know you're getting out, Richard. Don't feel bad, Richard. I just got to tease you and everything because you at least stopped in Baltimore. As I told Reggie sometime back, I flew to Baltimore because I was going to Miami and they took me on the roundabout way. So I didn't even get a chance to stop in his city. I just stopped in his airport and everything along those lines because they took me on the roundabout way in order to get to a conference in Miami. And that was at the beginning of last month, so the beginning of February and everything. So I got to see the airport of Baltimore.
Wow. Yeah. We're gonna have to be very deliberate about connecting. I'll be in touch with you guys, man. Thanks for the invite. I'm always down to come on to the show.
Okay, look, everyone, have a good night. People, thanks for watching. Have a good week. Don't let what's going on in Washington get you down. We're gonna overcome.
All right.
And I'll see you next week.
Later.
Good night.
Good night.